Shalom, shalom, everyone. It is the 5th day of the 8th Hebrew month. It is the evening of November the 12th, 2018. And don't forget about this White House petition. We need 100,000 signatures by November 27th in order for the White House to respond. And no American should have any fear of signing that petition when, who I believe was Don Jr., right on the portico of the White House, went like this to me, even while I was preaching against Mike Pence. So, guys, come on. I mean, I'm just talking about people who like, I can't sign that because you're saying Mike Pence is a pedophile. Well, he is. Go watch my video, Michael Flynn versus Mike Pence. All right, so in light of that, I'm going to move on to my next story. And this is when I put up my video, it was back in August, I think, Billy Graham is a serial pedophile. It's up to over 76,000 views, and yet I'm still, to this day, getting comments in, mainly from Christians, saying, Daniel, you are a liar, you're a slanderer. Only Fiona Barnett is saying this. How can you go on the word of one woman? Well, it's not just Fiona Barnett. I'm going to post this story below the video. This is from Kathy Fox's blog on child abuse, and this is a post that she put up way back in February of this year. Billy Graham child abuse. Today, Billy Graham's death is all over the news. Remember, this is right when Billy Graham died. And also people are saying, well, Daniel, how can you support Trump when he gave so much honor to Billy Graham? Folks, I didn't know about Billy Graham's pedophilia in February of 2018 either. So what makes you think Trump did? Some of you need to give a little bit more leeway. Okay, so it says, today Billy Graham's death is all over the news here in the U.S. It is literally making me so angry seeing him held up as some kind of god. We lived in the same town as his choir director, Cliff Barrows. By the time I was a teenager, my father had more money and we had built a home on the side of a mountain in South Carolina within walking distance of Mr. Barrows. It was also within an hour of Billy Graham's North Carolina home. However, as a young child, as far as I know, my parents had no personal connection with Graham other than the fact that my father sang well, and both of them sang in the choir at several of his crusades, as did many Southern Baptists. My memory involves being taken to a back room in an auditorium where a crusade was held, and I believe it was my mother who left me with him. He seemed very kind, as I was a shy, pretty child. I think I was age 5 or so. I remember his voice so well and how he said the word cookie, but I was terrified, so I didn't want a cookie. I seemed to already know how to do this act from previous experiences with the SRA Satanic Ritual Abuse cult, I guess. My childhood pastor was the one who took me to ritual events, but in this instance, Billy Graham was the only one present. I see it as a movie because I had already learned to disassociate by then. And remember about MK Ultra programming, how it works. You can, if you haven't seen my interview with Aaron Golub and Andy Berger, you'll learn more about that, or you can also research Fiona Barnett and her website. One ceremony even took place in a Catholic church. However, in each of the SRA memories, the men wore black hooded robes and their faces were covered in white face paint or with white face masks. The one exception was a rape ceremony where the man who raped me was a younger Native American man. These incidents occurred in the late 50s and early to mid 60s. Anyone familiar with evil in the Carolinas is aware that Native Americans, Satanists, and Freemasons were all closely connected during that time period. The story about Graham being involved in a pedophile ring in Australia, which mentions him only briefly, is the only thing I can find about him today and child abuse. Although in the past, I've seen many articles about him being involved in Freemasonry and SRA, and there's even a book that proves he was a 33rd degree Freemason. In fact, Billy Graham actually admits it. Do you have any information at all about Billy Graham being involved in SRA or child abuse? I just need to know that I was not the only one. Darcy. So this woman is named Darcy who wrote this, and then Kathy Blog responds. Kathy Blog, Fox Blog. Some more information on Billy Graham and ritual abuse is in the links below. Mind-controlled slaves and ritual abuse have still not yet received the coverage they deserve. Fritz Springmeier, and I've actually met Fritz personally. He when he got released from jail in Portland, I met with him. Really, really nice guy. He was unjustly imprisoned in Portland for many years due to basically a fraud against him, perpetrated against him, but he was eventually released, and I got to meet him. Fritz Springmeier and Cisco Wheeler, Chapter 5b, The Skill of Lying, The Art of Deceit, Billy Graham 1. Of the best witnesses is a Monarch program survivor who has escaped from being a high-level Pentagon slave. This survivor witnessed Billy Graham working for the Illuminati. The survivor also carried messages for the Satanic hierarchy and personally knows that Billy Graham has been carrying messages from the top secret Illuminati to presidents and heads of state. This person's information has been backed up by independent witnesses. A second ex-Satanist also remembers Billy Graham as a Satanist. Still another person, an ex-Illuminati person, who has MPD stood in front of Billy Graham and washed his eyes. This person said that it was very clear that Billy Graham has MPD and he switches personalities. And she goes then to start citing things. She talks about the book Pedophiles Down Under by Fiona Barnett, of course, and then just a bunch of links that I'm going to just post all below the video in this article. So we have that testimony there, and also the lady, I can't mention her name still, but the lady that was the source for my information of the Oral Roberts University when she as a little girl was abused and saw this ritual abuse in the tunnels below Oral Roberts. She also has, it's a number of friends, I think she said about 5 or 6 friends, that also were sodomized and raped by Billy Graham when they were just little girls. Same time period, describes the same things. Fiona describes the same things. Keep in mind, Fiona does not know this woman. I know that for a fact because I've talked to Fiona. She did not know who this woman was. And this woman, has these friends that does not know who this Darcy lady is. So, I think Darcy is connected to one of the friends of Judy. But in any case, these two groups of people are completely separated, both corroborating and backing up that Billy Graham was a serial pedophile, a Satanist, involved in satanic ritual abuse, was a very nasty, nasty man, and was, monarch, MK Ultra, where you can be programmed to have different personalities. And people say, well, then he was just an MK Ultra victim. No, guys, Fiona Barnett was an MK Ultra victim. David Scherner was, and they decided to live, right, whereas Billy Graham was an MK Ultra victim, and he decided to live wicked. So they're still held accountable for their actions. So I just wanted to share that and back that up, and I'll put this article below the link because this is just another evidence exposing Billy Graham as the pedophile he is. And I also now want to because that was so dark, I want to end with an edifying thing. I just have a testimony. When I was leaving my Airbnb in Washington, D.C., it was very early in the morning because I had to catch a very early flight, and so it was still dark out. I had to go to this gas station to fill up my tank before returning the rental car, and the gas station was closed. I mean, the pumps weren't open or anything. I didn't know what I was going to do because I had to get to the airport quickly. And there was a woman sitting in this white car, and she had like a foreign accent. I think she was Eastern European. And she's like, oh, are they closed? And I was like, yeah, the pumps are even shut down. And she's like, well, do you know where to go? And I was like, no, I don't even live here. I desperately need the gas station quick because I got to get to the airport. And she said, well, follow me. So she gets in her car, and I'm following her, and we're going through all these like just twists and turns. DC is just chaotic. And we get to this gas station, and it's literally like right across from the airport. So I pump my tank full of gas, and then I write down my website, spiritandtour.com, and I go over to her. She'd already filled up her tank, and I knock on her glass, and she's like, yes. I said, here, check out this website. And I told her about my ministry briefly and gave it to her. So I realized that all of that, even though I was like, oh, great, now what am I going to do? It was all orchestrated by Yah to witness to that woman. So, and then when I got on the plane it was a long flight from DC to Seattle. It's like 6 hours, 5.5 hours. This young man and his wife, they just got married 6 months ago, very young, or his wife was young. I guess he was more my age. They were headed to Hawaii. And we got in this long conversation about the ministry, satanic pedophiles, and the Hebrew roots. I wound up giving him my website as well. And we had a really good conversation, quite a bit of it actually. So, Yah, he orchestrates things. As long as we're obedient to him and we're humble to him, he always is orchestrating things, making sure that we're walking in his will. So I just wanted to give that testimony. Hallelujah. If you like what I'm doing, if you want to support what I'm doing, I am about to do this full time. My last day of work is now 2 days, November 14th. I submitted my 2 weeks notice about 2 weeks ago. And so my last day of work at my regular job, setting appointments for real estate agents, is about to end. And I will be solely relying on donations. And so my PayPal link is right below the video, along with my Patreon link where you can pledge your monthly support. I have a link where you can buy my books. And I also have a link, or I have a P.O. box where you can send stuff to. I do have a very close friend here now. He's a subscriber, loyal Trump supporter, loves my channel. We've met at lunch several weeks in a row now. He is offering to take care of my P.O. box. So anyone who wants to send checks to my P.O. box, he will make sure to for deposit only, and he's authorized to deposit that stuff into my bank account. So you can still send stuff to my P.O. box even when I'm down at UCLA. I am leaving for UCLA on Sunday night. I'm going to be there Monday morning. Will be my first day there to preach, and we'll preach all the way up until the Thanksgiving holiday, and then continue preaching to the end of their quarter on December 9th. So please be praying. Just like you guys prayed for me at the White House, be praying for the UCLA students, because lots of strongholds there. As I go down there right in the midst of the flaming fires that are consuming California right now. All right, hallelujah, Yah bless, and shalom, shalom.